In this election cycle, what are the top issues for voters, including those in New Hampshire? And what makes this election season special? Joining us now to offer his take, we have Javier Palomares, founder and CEO of the U.S. Hispanic Business Council. So Javier, we note that the economy and immigration are two of the top issues for voters this election cycle. So both issues you've been very outspoken on. How do you think this will factor into the results out of New Hampshire tonight?
Absolutely, Don. You know, it became very apparent to our association after Iowa that the American people, no matter where they are in this country, immigration has become an issue for every American. It's no longer a border state issue. And certainly the economy continues to be top of mind for every American. So I'd like to see anybody running for the White House have that as a central piece of their messaging. You know, how are they going to fix immigration? What does immigration reform look like to them? And how are they going to tie the economic and commercial interests of our nation with immigration reform?
And another thing, President Biden is not on the Democratic ballot in New Hampshire, but there's an expected write-in campaign for his president. So how might this dynamic influence the political landscape in New Hampshire and beyond as well?
Look, I'm a Democrat, but I've got to tell you that I think the DNC made the wrong move here. Every American deserves to be spoken to. Every state matters. New Hampshire matters. And we're seeing candidates work really hard for the vote. I don't think the president should be exempted from that. I think he should have participated in New Hampshire. Every conversation, every vote, every state is going to matter. And I think that was the wrong call by the DNC, in my opinion.
As well, the Democratic Party doesn't have delegates at stake in the New Hampshire primary. So do you think this could work in favor for Haley potentially? For example, might more independents choose to vote in the Republican primary to make their vote count? Certainly,
you know, in New Hampshire, you have a very unique set of circumstances, right? 30% of voters are registered Republican, 30% are registered Democrat, and 40% are registered unaffiliated. So there's a broad opportunity here for Haley to make inroads with that community.
And I want to look ahead as well. What are the key factors or events you believe will play a crucial role in determining the next U.S. president, and how might the results in New Hampshire set the stage for that?
Well, you know, I don't think New Hampshire it's going to be a bellwether, but we're a long way from the White House. If you look at what happened in Iowa, you know, obviously Donald Trump had a decisive win. But at the end of the day, it was 56,000 Republicans that voted for him. That's less than 3% of the registered voters in that state. New Hampshire could go the same way. What I'm delighted to see, Don, is two candidates working extremely hard to earn the trust and the vote of the American people. They're out there, they're campaigning, they're having the discussions, they're being involved. And that, to me, is a great, indication of just how hard they're going to work for the American people. I think every discussion, every conversation is going to matter. And I find myself really excited about what I'm seeing here. I mean, think about this. We're witnessing American history as it's being made. We've never been here before as a nation. We're down to two candidates on the Republican side, and New Hampshire hasn't even happened yet. And one of those candidates is a woman, and of immigrant background at that. That speaks volumes of our nation, and I think that's what we should focus on as Americans. Obviously, we've got challenges. Obviously, there's a great deal of dissension in our nation right now, but I choose to look at the positives here. This is America at work, and I'm delighted to see, at least in this case, Donald Trump and Nikki Haley working extremely hard to get the vote from the people of New Hampshire.
All right, maybe just one more thing to get your comments on. How do you think the Hispanic vote will factor into everything?
You know, that's one thing that I want to see all of the candidates really working at. If you look at it right now, every 30 seconds, a Hispanic in this nation becomes an eligible voter. If you look at it, there are more Hispanics in this nation than there are African Americans and Asians combined. And yet we continually get overlooked by both parties, frankly. One party's taking us for granted. The other one's not doing enough to do, you know, the appropriate outreach to our community. We are a vote that is about 50% independent. So that Hispanic vote may be the deciding factor for ultimately who ends up in the White House. And I want to see anybody running for the White House really engaged with America's burgeoning Hispanic community.
All right, Javier, pleasure speaking to you today.
Thanks for having me.